Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, July 10th, 2017 meeting of the Guilford Parks and Recreation Commission. We're calling the meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. A couple of introductions, and then we'll have a brief remembrance of a former commission member, Barbara Pine, who passed away on June 28th. Commission member next to me is Sue Robbins, and next to her, Claire Kincaid Dunn, and that bright shirt is Mark Coppola, and Suzanne McDermott is to his right. And to my left is Judy Sullivan, the director of the Parks and Recreation Department, Rick Maynard, and to Rick's left is Catherine Stewart, the commission recording secretary. And behind the camera is Peter Schultz. For the record, Peter waved. So if we would just have a moment or two as in remembrance of Barbara Pine. As I mentioned, she passed away on June 28th, and she had been a member of this commission from 2007 to 2015. And in a moment, Sue has a very nice commemorative proclamation from Joe Mazza, the first selectman, she's going to read. I knew her fairly well, not really well, but she did an awful lot in her retirement. And she had, previous to her retirement, she was a professor at the UConn School of Social Work for about 20 years. So after that, she got involved with the Parks and Recreation Commission, and in her own quiet way, she became a guiding member of the Guilford ABC program for young ladies at Guilford High School. And at some point, she became the chairman of the Guilford ABC program. I'd say that one of the things I remember Barbara for, sitting around this table, is her quiet dignity, her quiet patience, and her ability to listen and listen and listen, and then come up with a recommendation or her own modification of it. And also, she was also, I guess, she was on a building betterment committee for a number of years. This was before Rose Dostert succeeded her in it. But Barbara was responsible for a lot of the amenities and betterments to this building. Not so much the infrastructure, but so many other things. And she, in fact, even down the hallway, you'll see those coat hangers, which she was very, very proud of. So, and we're certainly going to miss Barbara, and it's my understanding that at some point, her husband and family are going to have some sort of a celebration of her life, but we don't know when it is yet. And Sue, if you would please.
Yes, as Jack indicated, Joe Mazza presented Rick with this certificate, and it says Town of Guilford Certificate of Appreciation in recognition of the many contributions made by Barbara Pine to the Town of Guilford Parks and Recreation Commission. Barbara gave generously of her time, serving as a commissioner from 2007 to 2015, and it's signed Joseph Mazza, first selectman. So we will get this to her husband.
I think it's very fitting that Sue reads that as well, because both Sue and Barbara were on the Jacobs Beach renovation and landscaping project. And they spent years and years and years working together. And the next time you're down at Jacobs Beach, take a look at this big rock, which has a bronze memorial of what they did. And Sue's name is on it. I think Rick's is. Barbara is, of course. So it's
Ralph.
Yeah.
Ralph? Yep.
Any other comments?
Jack, one thing Rose wanted to suggest, if you want to put in her new business, she wanted to suggest planting a tree for Barb, and we have an idea where it could go. If you want to discuss it now or put in her new business. Because she couldn't be here tonight, she asked me if I would bring it up.
I wouldn't You might want to ask her husband. I don't know him. I know what his name is. It's Larry Dowler.
Larry.
Yeah.
I mean, she might have a special place for that. I do know she was across the inlet there from
Taylor Avenue
Taylor
Beach.
Avenue
Yeah.
Beach. I don't know. If any of us have any ideas, as to where and what,
Well, I can, one area we were talking about, Chittenden Park, which is near Jacobs Beach, by the bocce court, there's a large tree that was recently taken down, because it was dead. It was a big, big tree that died, and it was taken down 2 weeks ago, maybe. And there is a need for shade there, and Rose actually plays bocce down there, so she suggested maybe a tree there in Barbara's honor would be a good idea. So just
Okay.
bringing that up, something we could either look to the garden club, see if they would like to purchase it, or we could come up with the funds to buy a tree, and, get recommendations maybe from John Cunningham, what would be a good one to plant down there that would survive well and provide shade.
I'm satisfied with that.
Well, Barbara was a big proponent and an advocate for the voices of people down at Jacobs when we were working on the
Yeah.
project, doing the renovation, because there was a need for shade. And certainly, having trees down there was important to Barbara as far as providing shade to people. So I think, even though it's not down there, providing a tree that would give shade would be something I think
Yeah.
she'd really like.
It'd be great if you could do that, Rick.
Okay. And I'll check with John Cunningham again, just to get the appropriate tree that would work, do well in the environment down there and be there for many years.
John's a prominent landscape architect in
Yes.
town or in the area, too.
Yeah.
He worked on the
And he worked
Jacobs
on the-
project
right,
with
yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get in touch with John then.
I think, for the benefit of the commission members, we'll ask if there are any comments for a public forum. And if none, or if there are, when that's finished, with your indulgence, I'd like to move up on the agenda 3 items from agenda item 9, new business, A, B, and C, the Eagle Scout project from Cliff Makoviak, Eagle Scout project from the Chittenden Park Guardrail. Tim, is it Wheel or Weil?
Wow.
Weil?
Yep.
Thank you. And an Eagle Scout project at Lake Quantipoug, Steve Prince Jr. Correct? Okay. Your Mark? You're Mark Makoviak, right?
He's here attending the meeting because we're another requirement
Yes,
for
mayor badge.
a mayor badge.
Okay, oh, okay, okay. So, agenda item 2, public forum. Are there any members of the public who wish to make some comments or observations? Hearing none, seeing none. Is Cliff Makoviak here?
No, he's not.
He's not here. Okay, my apologies. Okay. All right, then, it'll be 9B, Eagle Scout Project, the Chittenden Park Guardrail. Tim?
Should I stand
You have
up?
a microphone to yourself over there.
Turn it if you
Just
want.
turn it toward you.
You have to sing, though, if you go next to that one.
All right. Hi, my name is Timothy Weil. I'm senior patrol leader in Troop 471 in Guilford. We meet at the church every Sunday, and I would just like to first thank you guys for taking in my ideas, possibly, and see what we could do with them. So, as we said earlier, my proposal is for a rail/fence at the Chittenden Park to replace the old telephone poles that are rotting and they're covered with tar and they're not visually appearing and they don't really work well either. So, to start, I would like to hand out a little follow sheet.
Thank you, Tim.
I have to tell you, Tim, I think, had asked me if we have a projector available, and by the time I saw his email, it was kind of the end of the day, and I just didn't have a chance to get it together. So he would have done Yeah, it would have been on the screen, but,
I'm impressed.
oh.
PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, so as you can see, Chittenden fence installation, and I'm just going to go through it, talk about how I would approach the project, and then I have the financial plan for the project as well. So my goals, well actually first let's address the pictures. This is around the bocce court area, and that's a really beat up pole, and it's not really doing anything from keeping motorized vehicles out. The spaces are pretty big. I know earlier this week there was a motorbike that went on the field, and yeah, so the fence isn't doing its job at the moment. So my start time would be, the earliest would be late August and latest early September. My end time would be around mid-October, early November. What I want to come out of the project is to create a permanent structure that is safe, will allow a reasonable barrier around the bocce courts or / soccer field, and will last for years without decay, damage, or need for repair. So you can flip to the next page.
Tim, the length of it would be... What, from where the bocce courts begin?
Yeah, so
And it moves along with those rails, but how far down does it move?
So Rick and I discussed this, and we wanted a game plan for both options. So around the bocce court and the whole field, replacing every single inch of fence and putting up a new fence. And we would adjust based on financial cost and how much work it would take realistically for a Boy Scout to do. Yeah. So who will this benefit? First, the town. The new improved aesthetic of Chittenden Park will bring a new feel to vital parking in the Guilford community. And Parks and Recreation. So the Parks and Recreation can be proud of a new fence that enhances the overall quality of a highly used park. So, next page. So the next 3 slides are going through how I would approach the work party and a step-by-step day or a day plan of how the project will be complete. So work party 1/2, so this is a flexible work party because it all depends on time and weather and things. So prior to the area being ready, all old poles and cement blocks must be removed. So this is the existing structure. Poles can be lifted by hand and cut into smaller pieces. I tried this out with my buddy. You can lift the poles off easily. Cement blocks can be broken down and brought away to the dump. And there's 2 options we can go about this. It would be complete manpower, and we would cut it up ourselves, or I have an uncle who's a part of a landscaping business who can come in with a truck and chip all the wood, and it'll make it easier on everyone. And I think I could do that possibly for free or for a big discount, so it wouldn't cost a lot of money at all.
Using organizing resources
Yep.
as the leader of the project to do something like that.
Yeah. Each group of 2 will be assigned a new post area to dig, so this is after everything's taken away. And all the time after is dedicated to making sure the poles are exactly the right depth and width. So continuing on this, if you can flip to the next page, this is going through the most challenging part of the project, and this is putting in the poles into the ground and cementing them perfectly at a 90-degree angle, so it'll keep the structure sturdy. So I'll just read through it and then we can go from there. So you want to set the corner post first to, it's almost like a guideline for the rest of the project. So in order to maximize efficiency of the fence and railing, the corner post needs to be set to create an ideal starting point. The hole dug must be at least 1/3 as deep as the length of the post itself. So the posts are 6 feet long, so in this case you would dig 2 feet. At the bottom of each post hole, there should be 1 inch of gravel followed by 4 inches of cement. The reason for such a small amount of cement is because all posts are pressure treated and 10 inches by 10 inches, so stability and the rotting factor won't be an issue. From this initial corner post, a line going from corner to corner must be set to create a straight line for posts and holes to be dug. So this is to create a perfectly straight structure, so all the posts drilled to the poles are sturdy and will line up perfectly. And then following the installment of each post hole, a wooden brace must be applied on each side to keep the posts at a 90-degree angle while they set. And the cement that we'll be using is a fast set cement, so it only takes 4 hours. so you don't have to wait overnight and have to deal with somebody coming over and pushing it over. You can stay at the job site and work on another part of the project. So if you go to the next work party, so this is putting on the railing. So each group will be assigned a railing to be placed on its own individual notch. And right here you can see basically the same exact structure at Jacobs Beach. And there's 10-inch nails, or actually 11-inch nails, going through the post to the railing, or the railing to the post. And everything is pre-cut besides the holes to put the bolts and nuts through. Yeah. So all we need to do is have a drill bit go through, and we can secure it tightly. Before inserting the bolts, each post and rail must be checked to make sure every connection point is even in its own notch. So this just goes back to creating a sound and safe structure. Bolts and nuts will be secured tightly, and the area will be swept and cleaned before departure. So that's the step-by-step process of it. And I'm going to hand out.
I think that's a great idea, because I don't know how many of us have either slipped on that creosote,
Yeah.
or sat on it, or gotten splinters on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a safety issue.
Even as when I was a kid playing soccer at that field, we would all get up on the post and run along, and we'd all fall down, and it's dangerous. So.
And also, it looks like, long after you've done the project and completed it, it looks like, from a departmental point of view, it's probably easier to maintain in terms of cutting the grass, or at least reaching under it, rather than trying to go around or the creosote and the poles.
Consistent,
But
right?
then-
Consistent with what's already at Jacobs.
Right.
So aesthetically, it'll look,
Oh,
you know,
great.
similar, right?
So this is the financial sheet. Everything in bold is the items, and everything in normal print is the cost for the unit individual price. So I have two sections on the cost, the bocce court area and the whole park. And a note before I go through all the cost, this is without discounts or donations. So from individual companies wanting to donate bolts or pieces of wood. And I'm using all Atlas lumber because they pre-cut, and it's been used all throughout Guilford at the high school, at the other parks. So actually, I'm not even going to read through this. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I'll go through the two options for cement because it can kind of be confusing. We can either, because they're pressure treated and they won't rot, and they're extremely stable because the width of the post itself, we can either use all gravel, no gravel or cement, or gravel and cement. I think gravel and cement is the best option just because it completely shuts out the possibility of the post rotting. Yeah, so the bocce court area is approximately $5,209, and the whole park is $11,184. So this is a big increase, but it's a big increase in footage as well. It's approximately like 211 feet around the bocce courts, and it's about 498 feet for the whole park itself, or where the existing railing is. So I believe the bocce court is the best route to take just because the structure around the bocce court is already bad enough, and it's worse than the other existing structure going along the field. And it'll match the look of the bocce courts, and there's already an existing Eagle project from my troop around the bocce courts area, which was Colin Brocksieper 3 years ago, and he planted bushes and trees around the whole area, and there's a little plaque that says his name and the contributions to it. Yeah.
The bocce courts actually were eco projects too. The first 4 courts, the new one, they were all eco projects. So it's all that has been Eagle Scouts.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that concludes my presentation. Is there any comments or questions or?
That's very clear. I would think maybe, depending on your time, I know you have to be 18 before you have
Yeah.
to end the project. the bocce court, one idea might be a good start, unless the donations come in and the direct labor costs are paid for.
Yeah.
But I could see an ultimate goal of doing the entire Chittenden Park.
Mhm.
I mean, you might want to talk about that with Rick.
Yeah.
And also the Scoutmaster, in terms of how much time you have to commit to doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it would be a big project if the whole park was lined with it, so.
And who knows, maybe you could have somebody working on your committee who might want to take that over.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it to dissuade you from it, I know my son did an Eagle Scout project in Madison several years ago, and it took a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was.
More than he thought.
That's what I was initially thinking. I would do the bocce courts, and then the rest of it, it's basically the same exact price range, same exact setup for the rest of the area. That could be done by another Eagle Scout or another Eagle Scout, or possible Eagle Scout in my troop. So I'm flexible, really.
You want another skill, you're recruiting somebody or
Yeah.
somebody as well.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the commission members? It's very self-explanatory.
I think I have
I understand.
it's a two-part question, but
Yeah.
one is you mentioned the length of the posts themselves being 6 feet tall so the hole would be 2 feet deep.
Yeah.
So that whole 2 feet deep process, right, that's an undertaking, the
Yeah.
digging of the post, anyone that's ever tried it,
Yeah.
it can be, so there's obviously there's the manual with the post digger device, or there could be maybe the rental of a post auger.
Yeah.
Which would obviously improve efficiency, but again, there's a cost obviously associated with
Yeah.
that. But, so I imagine you were looking to do this with the traditional manual auger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, post digger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be another thought, is depending upon the donations, and maybe there's somebody out there that would want to donate that the actual powered auger. Does that
Yeah.
one that makes a tremendous difference, Rick? I don't know if you're from an efficiency. So that's probably I would think the most difficult, or one of the most difficult processes in that whole
Yeah.
plan. But it's
You
great.
think I can just notice, you said if it's a 6-foot post, so and you go down 2 feet with the hole.
Yep.
So it's 4 feet, that'd be 4 feet high. If you look at the one at Jacobs, I think it's quite a bit lower than that.
Mhm.
So you might want to think about that, and, maybe lower, if it's lower, you don't have to go as deep with the hole maybe either.
Yeah.
So with just, we'll talk about that when we get ready to do it.
Plus, if it's a shorter post, there would be less cost
Right.
associated with the post
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all those costs might come down a little bit too, and the labor of not having to go maybe as deep with the hole.
Yeah.
You're not coming as much out of the ground. So, but, if the commission approves it, we can have more dialogue about,
Yeah.
the methods and all that, but it's a great idea.
I think you're fortunate in having a team of advisors, not only within the Scouts, but from the folks in the department as well.
Yeah.
So,
I
some
really
more
appreciate
resources
it.
you can use, and you can use that when you write up your final report.
Mhm.
So Rick, just to get a sense of the committee, the commission, it seems like the first option would be a way to at least launch the project for Tim.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if you exceed your initial expectations, maybe the second part,
Yeah.
or maybe
Or
not.
part of.
Do we want to commit some dollars to this, so he has, because I don't know if you have to do fundraising as part of what you have to do, but, it may be a challenge to raise
We don't want,
the
we
full
don't want to
amount.
put too much pressure on you to have to go out and fundraise.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's, yeah. Do you have a suggested,
I would suggest we start at least with half, and then, and I think we've done that with some other projects, and then, maybe if you find you're having a challenge getting donations or whatever, the rest just come back maybe, and we can evaluate
Okay.
at that point.
you comfortable with that?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. So, do you want me to make a motion to?
If you
Well, the
would.
half, was the half for the whole,
Yeah.
the whole thing?
No, the
No,
bocce
just for
course.
the
Around
bocce.
bocce.
Yeah.
The first one, Judy.
Bocce. So I'll make a motion that we provide half the cost. Do you want to leave this number as a solid number? You're comfortable with this number?
Yeah.
So half of the cost for Tim to install fence around the bocce courts, Chittenden, with the anticipation or allowance of him coming back if further costs are needed.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. No opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very happy. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Boy Scouts Dave Prince, your Eagle Scout project, the grill at Lake Quanapug. If you would, sir.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Prinz. I'm with Troop 472 out of North Guilford. And I have a few pictures to pass out to everyone. I only have 5, so maybe you can look at them and then pass them on to the next person. So I'll explain these later, but there you go. So I'm planning on building a grill, an outdoor grill. It will be built out of stone and cinder blocks, so it's going to be a very permanent structure. And I plan to build it right next to the pavilion. So in the first picture there's the pavilion, and this is going to be in the campsite. And so there's a gate, and there's a big pavilion there. And it's going to be right next to the pavilion. On the other side, the current grill is on the right side of the pavilion. My grill will be on the left side. And I plan to begin it July 23rd, so in a few weeks. And I plan to be completed by August 13th. So not that long of a project, but still takes a few weeks. I'm expecting about 10 scouts to be helping me with this, and my family will obviously pitch in. But our troop has about 20 to 30 scouts in it, and 20 usually show up for the meeting, so I will be there to recruit people. And it's not going to be that big of a task because it's not a big space. There's only be small space, so only a few kids to be working near each other. And I expect the first day to be about 4 scouts, and 6 scouts will come the next days. So for materials, obviously, it's going to be a permanent structure. It's going to be a large grill. It's going to be about 7 feet long, about 3 feet in width, and about 3 feet tall. And it's going to be made out of cinder blocks, and it's going to have a cement footing. So we're going to go up there. We're going to dig a 1-foot hole in a rectangular form, and we're going to fill it with stone, and then we're going to pour cement in there. So it's going to have a nice, solid footing. And we're going to build cinder blocks upon that, and then I'm going to clad it in stone. Actually, in the pictures, there's some bricks. It looks like bricks, but it's going to be clad in stone, and it's going to have granite tops. So hopefully...
That's a professional-looking grill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Is the food going to taste good coming off of it? For sure?
Of course.
I bet. I hope so. So I would like to show you all the current grill because I feel that I've spent many years going there, and since I was a Cub Scout, so since first grade, and I'm now a junior, and I've spent every year of my scouting career going to Lake Quanapug and hanging out there. And I've had a lot of contact with this grill. And this is the grill now. I mean, last year was okay, but this year I do not say that it's functioning anymore. I mean, there's a stick through it. You see that?
It's seen better days, for sure.
Yes, it definitely has.
Oh, yes.
Looking very good.
You see it?
Granite tops,
the
I've
grill.
seen granite tops in the kitchen.
So the thing with this, the current grill is that we're not quite sure if it's an Eagle project or if it's just someone built it. So I will not be taking it down. I will leave it there because if it is an Eagle project, I do not feel comfortable taking it down because.
It was an Eagle project.
So
Yeah.
it was. So I probably, if I had to take it down, I'd probably have to contact the Eagle Scout that built it. All right. So the tools I will require are a lot. I'm going to need shovels. I'm going to need pickaxes to get through the stones. I'll need wheelbarrows to move materials around. I'll need a portable cement mixer, obviously, for the cement. I'll need wire cutters, levels, drills, masonry bits, and trowels. So that is for laying the mortar, laying the cinder blocks, putting the cladding on the outside, and I'm going to put mesh in the cement to make it stronger. And I do not need any permits or permissions to do this, at least what I've looked at so far. And I estimate that this will cost $3,500, and I'm overestimating there, so it's probably going to cost less than that, but at this point it's going to be $3,500. So I'm going to describe it a little in more detail. Have you ever seen the park grills, like when you go to a park and there's those grills with the pole sticking out of the ground?
Mhm.
I'm basically going to have the grill like that, and that's going to be put, so that's going to be, here it is right here. So there's going to be wings on the side that are going to be cement or concrete, bricks. And the grill's going to go right there in between. And it's going to have a stainless steel lid that goes over it and will lock. And hopefully I can get a lock from the town to make sure that the key that goes to the gate is the same as the key for the lock. So I'll have a hefty stainless steel lid that will go over the top and lock so that no one could get in it and no animals could get in it like bears and raccoons. And hopefully that this will be a permanent structure, as I said before, and hopefully it will last over 100 years. I like putting my name on things like this, and I hope no one goes up there and tries to beat it with a sledgehammer or something.
Can I just ask you a question? Is the grill part, I know the structure's permanent, would it be installed with the grill so that if something happened to the grill could be replaced? The grill's not permanent, but
I believe so, yeah. I believe
Okay.
if I'm trying to make the grill permanent as well. It's going to be like thick stainless steel, so you're going to need some serious tools to take it out. But if it does get taken out, the rest of the foundation is still going to be there, so if I wanted to, I would go back and replace it. It would be simple enough to do that.
I was just thinking if something happened to it or whatever, over time.
What was the size of the actual grill surface?
You mentioned 7 feet, but that's the whole?
So that's the bricks. That's the
Yeah.
whole foundation. It's 3 feet tall, the foundation, but these wings here, so little wings on the side of granite, they're about 2 feet, and so this is going to be 3 feet, obviously.
Okay.
So it's a good space to work. I mean, the grill now is about that size, I'd imagine, and you could cook and then put food on the sides, and it's going to be granite, so it's not going to burn through anything. So that's pretty much it for logistics. Do you have any questions or comments? No?
Having no questions does not mean we're dissatisfied.
No.
I'm here to satisfy you. So.
I can make a comment that Lake Quantipoc used to be used almost exclusively up top by scouts, but we are renting that pavilion out now, and we're getting more and more groups now reserving the pavilion that we never used to have before. So, I mean, it's not as many as Jacobs Beach, but outside of the scouts, there's probably been 5 or 6 or something this summer up there, and so this would benefit not only scouts, but other people who are now using that pavilion for other events now, too. Birthday parties.
Being locked, would it only be unlocked for those rentals? Or would the gate guards unlock it daily?
Yeah, we'd have to figure out how we want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe we talk about it. And what was the reason for locking it, other than animals getting in there?
Vandalism.
Yeah.
I do not want anyone going in there and taking things or smashing things.
Yeah, well, again, I guess, or we have to give a key to people who use the bathroom outside of our hours, like the scouts. We give them a key because they're going to be there overnight. They didn't have access to the restroom, so we give them a key to it. And if there's a group reserving that, I guess we could give a key, or if we have a combination on a lock or something, we could figure that out.
Looks good, looks great, you did a good job.
Yeah, as I said, I want this to last for a long time.
Sounds like it will.
Yeah.
Cinder blocks.
It'll outlast us anyway.
Yeah.
Present company excluded.
I don't know, 100 years,
Yeah.
I won't be here.
I'm speaking for myself. Rick, how's that sound with the financials?
So do we make a motion?
Yeah, we just want to make sure.
And yeah, and do we want to cover the cost? Do you think you can do some fundraising? Or?
I'm going to take donations. I don't want to ask any money out of the town. It's $3,500, and I've had already plenty of offers of donations, and they're more than cover the cost.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Said if there was ever, if it turns into there's a shortage, I imagine you could certainly come back and approach us again if there's something that needed to be addressed.
Well, I'm not really sure the rules with this, but since you are the beneficiary technically of this, I mean, it is the community, but the town, I'm giving it to the town, I'm giving it to the community. So I probably can't accept any money from the town for this.
Well, he could for additional costs.
Yeah, I think Mark meant for the
Yeah.
project, if you need more money for bricks.
Yeah.
Not for you personally, but, for.
I know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, right, in the event that you just came up some
Sure.
number
Sure.
short,
Yeah.
then your $3,500, we'd be willing to help you out.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that the fact that you'd like to try to do this on your own, that's outstanding as well.
I think, Steve, just talk to me about the schedule when you're ready, because you mentioned July 23rd. There are some, if you're doing it on weekends, I just got to make sure there's not a picnic going on after when you're doing it. So just get in touch with me. We can let you know, when there's some time that there's not something there, or when there is something there, so you can avoid that.
I'm actually, I'm probably going to try to do it during the week, because most of the scouts are off school now.
Mhm.
And I know some other scouts in my troop, actually Josh Lindgren in my troop, he's doing it this Thursday. He's doing his project this Thursday, so I'm going to try to do it during the week as well,
Okay.
so less busy.
Motion?
Yeah. Motion to accept Steve's.
Project of Steve.
Project of Steve Prinz Jr. to build a grill for the Lake Quanapog area. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we appreciate your ethical concerns and your ethical comments as well.
Thank you.
I want to tell you, there are
Good job.
9 current Eagle projects going on in Guilford.
Is
Or-
that
or being
right?
proposed. 9 kids have come to me within the last month or two, looking for projects, and I think we got all of them lined up, so a few more still got to be coming here at some point, but there are 9 Eagle Scouts. That's got to be, I can't imagine many communities have that many kids at that level, especially in one year. I mean, we get a lot over the course of time, but, this is all at once. It's great. It says a lot to the quality of the troops and the leaders and the kids the young men who are doing this.
Before we move on, I just want to ask this scout to give us his name and his troop number, for the record. Tell her. And is with his father, who's his advisor for the evening, right? And I would just ask, does anyone have an agenda that hasn't been marked on
No, I
I
marked mine
I would like to
out.
leave it with him because he has to write a report for the,
All right, I can do that.
He's got to get signed off for being here.
okay,
Should be on the town's website.
The agenda.
okay.
The agenda should be.
Yeah, no, you contact me, I can print one up for you and get it to you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That way I think it's easier to write a report from that.
All right.
But you need someone here to sign off on this? Here.
Yeah, he's not sure how to attend the meeting. That was his only requirement. He had to come to a public meeting.
Oh,
Do you want somebody to sign for
So, yeah,
tonight?
Oh,
so
okay.
after the meeting, we can talk.
Great.
Mr. Maynard would be happy to sign it for you.
You want to do it now so you don't have to, you're welcome to stay, but then you don't have to stay?
We're, this is on the line.
Okay.
Want me to sign that for you?
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Right at the bottom's fine.
Down here anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll date it too.
Just checking
He's
that
just
he's not
committed.
signing his life away.
Yeah, so it's insurance policy or
Just
something.
to pay your college tuition.
Yeah. Go see your dad about that.
Thank you. Back to the agenda, agenda item number 3, correspondence. We have, well, two pages, but actually there are 3 individual pieces of correspondence. One, I don't think we'll win to read them or anything. They're part of the record and will be. One's a thank you to the seniors director. And the other, two were addressed to, I believe they're the bus drivers, right?
Correct, 2 different drivers, yeah.
Yeah, who were on a trip to the Hillstead Museum in Farmington or Avon. And of course, the bus broke down. So they stayed with it and until the tow truck got here. So work above and beyond. For approval of the June 5th, 2017 minutes, we actually have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The June 5th one I just mentioned, and also the site walk minutes from June 12th.
If so many people were there.
Well, that's right. All modesty prevents us from saying the important people were there who were bitten by ticks, but that's okay. But let's take
Taking one for the team.
Yep. Well, let's take the first, the June 5th, 2017 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, or any corrections or omissions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? None, excuse me, not nay, none. The second was the site walk minutes from June 12th, 2017 at Peddler's Park. Motion to approve those minutes? Judy, you'd have to,
I'm making a motion to approve.
and I'd have to second it. Any corrections or omissions? I see none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then for the record, we all abstain. Yeah, we abstain. Abstain.
It's
But I
understood
have
by,
to say, the area would be awesome.
Really? It is awesome, yeah. It's a good spot.
And it's sort of off the track from where we went to look for the dog park. It's around some more good area.
yeah, I think Rick will tell us later on that it also extends it beyond what we thought it was going to be too, Judy. When we walked down to that first area, which was cleared and had that one
Yeah.
big tree. There's more land there. He'll tell us about
Oh,
that.
okay. I jumped the gun.
It's okay.
And just to set the record straight, I think at least 5, maybe 6 of the 9 members of this commission have to work during the day. So they can't go. And some from past commissions have been down to that park and know it very well.
Yeah.
Item 5, review and approval of the expenditures for the month of June 2017.
I just have a question about that Frontier reimbursement. on the
Suzanne,
high
just let's put it on, let's get it on the record so you can amend it or correct it from there.
Okay.
The only reason I said is, if we go through all the comments and questions, then we still have to make a motion to accept it, and that, it's a time saver. A motion to accept the June 2017 bills in the grand total of $141,721.34.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, discussions? You have the floor, madam.
I just was questioning the Frontier charge, the reimbursement on the high school, on 595 New England Road.
Yeah, I think that, I'm gonna find it, but I believe that's, it's the security alarm system.
Okay.
Oh, public school, yeah, so they pay and we reimburse the high
okay.
school for it, but it's the security alarm. It's
Okay.
not a phone bill,
Okay.
yeah. And there are 2 of them because it was 2 different months. We see one was dated June 27th, the other was April 31st, so it was 2 months' worth.
I continue to be astounded by the cost of the gas bill for that
Just going
science
to
wing.
ask about the gas.
$623 for 1 month,
Yeah.
less than a month. I don't know what service they're provided with via the gas company.
Yeah, what are they using
I-
gas for?
I don't know,
I have no
we get
idea.
gas bills here
About
because we
water.
cook here, so
Yeah.
I can check with Cliff Gurn on the
Yeah,
gas,
you
but
might want to do that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll make a note to call him.
Is that for heating?
Yeah, it might be hot water, yeah, it could be. That's probably what it is.
May and
Hot
June?
water.
But they don't have showers, so this is just
No,
bathroom
restroom,
sinks.
but,
But
yeah.
it's not like they're showering
Yeah.
in there. That seems,
Well, it's worth looking into.
Yep, I will do that.
And I think that right now, the total, at least for the 595 New England Road, AKA the Science Wing, AKA the Fitness Center, it's $3,343. I know things have a sense of inertia in this town and in this world, but at some point, this commission and this department is no longer going to be paying those bills. And that's whenever the state of Connecticut signs off officially on the construction bond for the high school. At that point, all of those monies should then be picked up by the high school. And I guess the inertia part means, I guess if we don't say something in the future, it can just go on and on and on.
do we have a date for when that's going to be?
I've asked, and they don't have a date yet. They don't know, it could be another year or 2.
Well, it's supposed to be at the completion of those two fields in the front of,
They're complete, yeah.
and they are complete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I asked that question just recently, and I guess there's a lot of reporting and things have to go on, whatever, but I was told it could be another year or 2. But meanwhile, I mean, the Board of Finance gives us the budget to cover it, so, we are getting the money to cover. It's not
We
coming
are.
out of something else.
We are.
We're not sacrificing something for this.
And when you're asking Cliff about the gas, if you look on the page previous, under the 595, at the bottom it says Southern Connecticut, and a month was 349.46. The following page has a month, and
Yeah.
it doubled, sort of, not quite, but that's a big jump. It's not consistent.
Yeah.
So
And
what's
and
the
biggest one-
inconsistency?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The biggest one is actually the last one, the $1,000. That's March, so it's probably heating, I would assume then. There are 3 months' worth of bills here, but it's March, April, and May. But yeah, May is actually higher than April. Yeah, I'll look into that.
It's very inconsistent.
Any other questions? I know John Jagelski's not here. If he has YouTube capabilities, he'll be happy to know that the bills are in for the switch button for the traffic light at Lake Quantapug.
Yeah.
$440 for a switch button.
It works.
It better work.
The,
And
go ahead.
and then $400 for the electricians. My only question there is, doesn't Public Works, don't they have electricians there that could do that?
They don't have an electrician at all, but in the past, sometimes the school electrician has been able to help us, and he just, time-wise, he couldn't do it. I think there was probably around the time school was closing, and they were getting ready for graduation, whatever, and he was not available, so we had a contract with somebody to do it.
So with the exception of the Board of Education, do most, if not all, of the other departments in the town, when they have an electrical problem needing fixing or repairing or replacing something, they have to go outside to get an electrician? I mean, there's no in-house electrician.
Correct. Yeah. There are some guys at the facilities department that can do some electrical work, but they're not electricians. And so for something like this, you need an electrician to do it. And I pushed it to get it done because I wanted it done before we opened for Memorial Day, because the light wasn't working before that. And actually, I think, Memorial Day weekend, it was not working. It was the following weekend that we got it going. But I wanted to get it going because I didn't want to not have that push button, have the crosswalk, and have our lifeguards there trying to cross people with traffic coming and a safety issue. So I just made the decision to get an electrician to do it, since the guy at Board of Ed couldn't do it, didn't have time, and I wanted to get it done for the safety of the people crossing the road there, as well as our gate guards and lifeguards.
So you're saying maybe ultimately he could have done it, but in the interest of the safety need and the manpower need to be on site.
Right. Time-wise, he just couldn't do it when we needed to get it done. Yeah, yeah.
I just have one last question. Under grounds maintenance, the no swimming sign, is that the no swimming sign that we were discussing at Jacobs Beach? It's the first thing.
Yeah, I think it's actually, I don't think it says no, it says no swimming beyond jetty.
Right.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Okay, good. Any other questions? If not,
I was just gonna ask, on the first page under utilities, where Eversource, 249621, it says tennis courts.
That's here, that's the community center. The 24,
above.
the tennis courts
Oh,
is
okay,
the
up below.
394, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's kind of a little weird the way it lines up. It's kind of hard to figure out. But that's here, that's, air conditioning season, it's pretty typical.
these are tests.
How much tennis at night is going
Yeah.
on?
These are tests to keep
Yeah, we
the
kept them
mind
on all
active.
night for a month.
So as a follow-up to that, speaking of tennis courts and lighting, obviously it's on timers, I would think?
Yeah, it is, yeah. It goes off at 9:30 every night. That's the latest they're on. They're on timers, but they don't go on if nobody's playing. There's a push button, so if somebody's playing, they have to push the button.
That was my question.
Stays on for
Not automatic.
an hour, and then I think at 50 minutes or 55 minutes, a little yellow light flashes, so if they're not in the middle of a serve and the lights go out, so they know what's going to happen, so they can go push it again if they're still playing.
Yeah, but that's-
It's a pretty efficient system.
There's a similar system, if not identical, down at the police department, the fire department, at the basketball courts. Yeah.
Well, that was not a push button, they stay on.
They used to- oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But again, they're on a timer. They go off, I think, at 10 or 10:30.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's 9:30, but they're not any later than that, any later than 10.
Wonder why they keep them on there all the time instead, just
Night-
safety?
night-
There are a lot of
Like
kids
night.
that play down
It's
there.
very heavily used in that
Oh,
time.
I know it's used a lot.
Very heavily.
How about in the offs, well, then it
In
wouldn't
the
be on
winter,
at all.
they may not be on. I don't think they're on. Or it depends what kind of winter it is. If there's no snow, people do go out and play, but they're not on late. They might be on until 7 or 8 or something.
busy, keeps kids busy, or young
Oh,
men
it's a
busy, or
great
young women
thing.
busy.
Put 'em on the
That's
basketball
fine.
court.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
I was outside there the day of the vote for the bonds recently and was there for 13 hours, and I could not believe how much it was used.
Yeah, it is.
Our guys were there putting that netting around the edge and
Mhm.
working actually in the beginning,
Yeah.
early in the morning, but then, boy, there was a steady stream of people. It was wonderful.
I think the business is right next door. They play around lunchtime. Those guys go out and play. And their kids use it, they're adults. We have our league on Wednesday nights. Now, I think we have, it's either 10 or 12 teams in our basketball league, our Shoreline League. Very popular league, very good league, very competitive. And we have a couple of guys that do the scorekeeping. You know, we have scoreboards, and we have hired 2 people that, because it's two courts going. And they run the scoreboards and keep track of the fouls and all that, and it's, actually, one of them is Barry Earp, who used to be on this commission years ago. Barry is one of the guys that does it, and he's a former basketball player, and he loves it. He loves doing it.
Actually, in the late fall and early spring, I use it too, to shoot threes.
Oh, yeah? Three? Only threes?
As long as nobody's there to see it.
We will be now.
We're gonna put a camera out there.
Any further questions? If not, all in favor of the $141,721.34, that'd be pending Rick checking out that those gas bills at the 595 New England Road. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Agenda item 6, department reports. Rick, since several of the things on your report you'll be covering later on, in the interest of time, and so the commission recording secretary can fit them in somehow in the agenda. One big, okay.
I guess the only one I would comment is the fireworks. That was Saturday night. Anybody
yeah.
go? Pretty good, weren't they? Yeah.
I heard them.
They were, I've heard a lot of comments from people today, over the weekend, and I don't go on some of the Facebook stuff, but people told me there's a lot of positive comments on Facebook about it. We actually had the owner of the company came and did the shooting.
Oh, nice.
We said it was pretty amazing. And he had 15 people, I think, helping. It was set up by 5 o'clock. It was done, ready to go. But they had a lot of crew, and they actually had 7 guys they were training. And that's why he came down to do the shootings. They're training guys. It's all done remotely now. Even last year, it was still wired in, still by computer, but now it's wireless. And he could have been in the audience shooting from there, 300 feet away. It's a long way from when he started out 30 years ago. We used to light a torch and run. Light and run. He started out doing that, but it's come a long way. But it was a good show. The grand finale was phenomenal. Like my neighbor said that the plates in her cupboard were rattling.
Did
And
you time it with music too, like you usually do?
No, we didn't. But and the performer we had beforehand, the a cappella group was really good, and the neighborhood music school had a little combo that played starting at 7. And
It was preceded by the community picnic.
Community picnic, great crowd. I think I counted I estimated about 600 people were there under the tents for the community band. Mark had 120 musicians, and in 4 rehearsals, they put on a 2-hour concert. It just blows me away every year. With 4 rehearsals, they put on such a great concert. People really appreciate that, and of course, we had staff there with the climbing wall and the obstacle course. We had to walk around magician, to entertain the kids. And then we had 3 more inflatables at the fairgrounds, and there was a line all the time. And I think these Dunn kids were there all the time, jumping off the top of the slide.
This year, I think the attendance at the fireworks was way up.
Yeah.
Because we always get there at the same time every year, and, I just couldn't get over how packed the field was at 7:30.
It was filling up earlier this year.
Yeah, and then, even at 9 o'clock when it started to get dark, Lover's Lane and, I always forget the other one. There were still full
Yeah.
of people trying to get in, so
It's great.
we do a great job.
Yeah.
So it was a long day, but a good event, and a lot of people benefited from it, so.
Oh, yeah. We got to Calvin leaving and they were out. So it was a
Where are
good
they
time.
out of?
The fireworks company Atlas, from New Hampshire,
New
Jeffrey, New Hampshire. And we got to, because we're televised, we give a lot of credit to the Agricultural Society. They gave us the fairgrounds to do this. They're the ones that collected the parking fee. It goes to them, not to us. And the fire department, Paul Fazzino, the fire marshal, was there starting at 10 a.m. And I think I left at 10:30, and he was still there. And so he was there all day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just so you know, there is a post on Facebook. A family did videotape it. He's a videographer, and he put it on YouTube, and he said if you guys share it, or if people share it and watch it, he will donate the ad proceeds to the fireworks.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
I noticed somebody was flying a drone. I don't know if that was the same.
yeah, I'm not sure if that was him, but
Yeah.
they're willing to donate the
And
what he
we're
gets.
so thankful. The weather was good, because we have to make a decision at 8 o'clock in the morning. I kept checking radar. I called the shooter, called the fire marshal. Joe Mazza called me. He said, you okay with the decision? You need help with the decision? And I said, I think we're gonna go with it.
Which way was he leaning?
He agreed, I think, yeah. Because last year, we changed it from Saturday to Sunday, and I called Joe. I said, Joe, I need backing on this because it's all on my shoulders. And he agreed. So last year, we did postpone it to Sunday, which ended up being a good move. And this year, we stayed with it. We kept watching that radar, and it did sprinkle just a little bit around 7 o'clock. But then it was a beautiful sunset, and you could kind of see the full moon through the clouds. And it ended up being a great night. It worked out. So,
Thanks for all your hard work to do that.
Thank you, yes.
yeah, it's a team effort, but it was.
You love it too, though. That's the showman in you.
I just love seeing the people there, when, I don't care if it's seeing 3 kids in a swim lesson or 6,000 people at fireworks, it's so rewarding knowing that people are enjoying something you had something to do with to make it happen, and that's what I get joy out of that.
Tony Anicelli's monthly report.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory,
Yeah.
but again, if you just highlight a couple of things to show things we do beyond athletic fields. The 5th bullet down, camp setup, they bring all the kayaks down and the hay bales for the archery area, all that stuff. The skate park, which I'll go into more when we go on that part of the agenda, but we have to, all the skate park equipment has to get removed. So our crew was unbolting everything, and then we had Smedley company with a giant forklift. They came and they moved everything off, and they're going to be putting it back on when we do it. But, our crew was up there doing that. We had to put more tables up at Lake Quantapug, for events that are up there. And meanwhile, I think it's Oscar Scott. He came here a month or 2 ago. He's going to be building more picnic tables, but we need some for the summer. So our guys brought some up there. The second to last bullet, at the library needed a lot of work with weeding, so we weeded that whole area for them, run their park a lot. And
Does facilities usually do that?
They don't do too much of that. It's kind of more us. But they have a custodian who helped, Tim,
Oh, yeah.
helped out, but our crew we had 2 guys. They helped do some of the trimming of the bushes back there, working with him to do the weeding, and we brought a bunch of stone in today, excuse me, to fill in the area where the weeds were, and we added stone to it. Stone we got from a project from the high school that was just sitting there. We could use it. Didn't cost us anything. We just had to truck it in and spread it. So it just gives some idea of what the guys do beyond field maintenance.
I'd ask you about the third from the bottom before we leave, but for future reference, to let us know what the outcome was of Tony, and perhaps you meeting with the Green Committee, or with the chairman of the Green Committee, Jerry Silbert, and what plans he has for that green for the future.
Oh, I can tell you, basically, we're going to be, in the fall, we're going to be doing some liming to bring the pH up a little bit. We're working with Jerry on an organic fertilizer on certain parts of the green, mostly the heavily worn areas, the center area there, the kind of biggest open area. That's the area we're focusing on.
Reported Terry Buckley, the senior program coordinator. I'll just note in passing that on the meal programs, the meals served at the center from May to the year to year, from May 2016 to May 2017, increased by about 29%.
Yeah.
168 meals. And the Meals on Wheels, there was 304 more meals, which means that there are folks out in the community who rely upon that and would like that and need that.
And are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, you're right, exactly.
There's some that are that, for
Yes.
whatever reason, are hesitant to take advantage of it.
And I continue to think that it's very important that we have these, directors' reports, the foreman and the supervisors, because that's our way of knowing what's going on, So it's always important to get them. Agenda item 7, report of the commissions and staff representatives to the commissions. Standing Fields Committee, you want to take care of that?
Two quick things. We met up at Cox Field with the contractor, Paul Schmidt, and a representative from Malone Improvement, the landscape architect that did the design work. And there's just a couple items on the punch list. I think it's one, maybe two things left. It's coming in pretty well. There are still a couple bare spots that nobody's really been able to figure out why they're bare spots. But he came back and we asked him to aerate it one more time. We're going to come back in with some amenities for the soil, and we'll seed it. There's pretty small areas. Remember the size of, this, not even this big here. Maybe from Sue to me. So it's just a bare spot. And no one's really been figuring out why that one spot. So we know he's seeded. You can see where the seed started to come up, and it just didn't germinate for whatever reason. We'll work on that part ourselves. It's not enough to stop us from opening the field in the fall. It's kind of on the outskirts of the field anyway. Tony can move the field over so it's outside the sideline, so it won't be an impact. The grass is coming in pretty well. There are just some issues with the valve boxes he put in they're very deep. They're probably 2.5, almost 3 feet deep. And if we ever have to change a valve, Joe Sullivan's the only one who's going to reach it. He's got very long arms. Joe's about 6'3", but it's a long, so we've told him he's got to bring that up. He's got to put some elbows in there and raise it up. I think there are 4 of them. So that's left on the punch list. And we still are withholding a fair amount of money for him to get that done.
Good.
The other thing, there's the field policy. We'll talk that under new business E.
90.
Yeah.
B, I think you mentioned the Green Committee.
Yeah, there's really no other report other than that.
And Land Acquisition Commission, we did not have a meeting this month. Hopefully we will have a meeting in August. Agenda item 8. Rose usually handles this report, Rick, but you could fill in for her. I know she'd love to hear something. Repairs and refurbishing of the community center.
Well, the facilities crew has done a lot of painting. They painted, I think, all the rooms up here is now. Bless you.
You okay?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just waiting for the third one to come.
They painted all the rooms on this level in the hallway, so that's been done. And there are some HVAC issues that we're working out. We got the new program now, but we're having some issues with the air conditioning, especially in the Guilford room. And it's called the VAV, Variable Air Volume Box, that they're in the ceilings. There are 26 of them in the building. And the Train company was here today working on that, programming some things, and there are a couple minor repairs that have to be done to those boxes, but it's coming along. Todd's been right on top of that, and he's been meeting with those guys, and he's got much better understanding than I do of what's being done, but I can tell you that it's all to do with air conditioning, and we're getting there. And the new program is going to be a good program for us.
8B. the Jacobs Beach Boardwalk extension?
Unless, Rick, you've heard from Will, the last I heard from him, things were just moving, they're going through the process, and everything's on schedule to start in the fall, but I had asked him if something changes, let me know, but he said he's marching ahead, so.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything different from that.
Yeah, I think it's status quo and just keep going through the process. There's some moving parts that, you have to get through to get to
Right.
putting the shovel in the ground, but no news is good news in that respect.
Robert Pine would be pleased to.
Yeah, I thought of that. I thought of that when I heard about her.
Yeah.
The last I spoke with her, she mentioned it. Don't forget, that's Shadestra.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, she was active in some community affairs, even literally her last days on this earth.
yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yes, she was. Yeah, so nothing new to report, other than all's fine.
8C, disc golf.
It's getting more and more exciting. So Craig Smolin is the volunteer that is willing to design it for us. He's the one who walked with us at Bittner and Peddlers. He's been there 5 times now, and I walked it with him a couple weeks ago. He and another gentleman who's been playing disc golf for 17 years. I guess I can almost say these guys are drooling at the potential, that they think it's going to be a tremendous possibility there. And as Jackie, as you mentioned, where the meadow is, where the dirt piles used to be, I thought we only owned like up to the ridge. It's town property. Town property goes way beyond that. So we walked where we walked from the parking lot.
To the left, Judy, down to the left.
Yeah,
No, we went to the left for a little bit.
But then we
and
went-
came back up and went to the
the
right
right, yeah.
and around.
Yeah, but he's referring to the left. So
Yeah.
you continued
Yes.
walking on the left side,
That's where we
on the
looked,
east side.
we looked
Yeah.
for the dog park,
Right.
Yes.
basically.
yeah.
But the town, according to Craig and Rick and others, the town
Goes
property
beyond that.
extends beyond that, south of that, I guess.
Yeah.
Over
yeah,
that-
a
that
couple-
berm or
yeah, I
that-
think
that-
that's way.
Yeah.
So,
Back from Peddlers Road, so if you were at Peddlers Road, if you went down that road and up that
Right.
ridge, it was quite a ways beyond that still. So we walked all of it, probably the entire 30 acres, and he's already sort of laid out where all of the fairways and baskets can go. So I asked him, I said, realistically, if the commission approves going there, and then the wetlands and planning and zoning approval and all that happens, I said, realistically, when do you think this could open? He said spring. He's convinced that we could get all the volunteers to come out there in the fall and winter to do whatever work has to be done for clearing. Mark, you made a good point a few months ago that it's not like a fairway where it's clear cutting. All the big trees stay. It's all the undergrowth, it's trees maybe smaller than 8-inch diameter or something that might come down. There are areas where there's undergrowth, but there's a lot of areas where it's not. Maybe some of the smaller trees come down, but not a lot of, brush type stuff. So they're convinced that this could get done and it could be opened by spring. And the other gentleman who's been playing for 17 years, he's played all over the world. He doesn't travel to play disc golf. He travels all over the world as business, but he's played in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, all kinds of places. And he said that the shoreline, he called it, it's disc golf purgatory. There's nothing here. There's nothing on the shoreline. The closest place, they got to drive 45 minutes or an hour. I guess maybe Loughbury Park, where you guys went, and Wallingford is the closest one. There's one in East Haddam now. But they see great potential because there are a lot of enough areas that can be open enough. There are enough up and down hills, ledges. We walked through one wetland area. I've talked to Kevin McGee about that and one of the members of the Wetlands Commission. If our commission approves going forward with Peddlers Park, which I hope you'll approve tonight, then the next step would be to go out with the Wetlands Commission, show them the one wetlands crossing. There's only one crossing, and it's really a minor. It's a little stream and some skunk cabbage down there right now. And even, it's been a wet spring. It's not mucky. I don't think any need for any bridges, it's just a matter of you just walk across it. And according to Kevin McGee, there's no restriction walking across wetlands. If we're gonna be building in it, or digging holes, or putting baskets in the wetlands, that's an issue, but if you're just walking across them, it shouldn't be a problem, but still, they'd have to prove it. So, and then Anthony Barber, who I thought might be able to come tonight, I guess he couldn't, he's the businessman in town who wants to do the fundraising. He wants to reach out to businesses and see if there'll be sponsors of the baskets. Each basket is about $325. And so, based on estimates that I've gotten from other people who have built these, the maximum cost, this is with no sponsorship, is $15,000. And even if we funded the whole thing, I can't think of any other recreational amenity that we have built anywhere for that little price that'll benefit a large number of people. And a lot of Guilford residents I've been talking to are really excited about this. When we did that survey of the people who played in the tournament we did, there were a lot of people that said, let us know when you're going to do it, we'll come out, we'll help. And a number of them also said they would contribute toward it. So we would have to go to planning and zoning too, because we have to expand the parking area. So they'd have to prove that, and they have to have a public hearing and all that. So we have people lined up, and there's at least one scout, maybe two, but one, Cliff Makoviak, who was on our agenda tonight, but I guess he couldn't make it.
Mark Makoviak's the father.
Yeah. He's interested in doing the tee boxes. And we have to still decide, with the advice from the disc golf community, is that concrete or is it stone dust? I mean, I'm getting different, some are saying they like stone dust better than concrete. Some say they like stone dust with some turf on top of it, the carpet on top.
Alternate.
And
Mix them up.
and others,
Mix them.
yeah. And others like the concrete. So I guess, you can leave that up to the disc golf community, the guys who design it. What do you think? Which way do you want to go with it? Maybe we start with stone dust, we could always go back and, do concrete later. Either way, it's going to be a little challenge for the scout community guys that are going to build this to get in there, because there's really there aren't a lot of trails there. So trucking or hauling in 50-pound bags of concrete or stone dust, it could be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we could probably help. We have an ATV with, trailer, so we could probably get it close, at least, to where it has to go, and they may have to, bring it from there, but there's a lot of excitement in the disc golf community about us doing this here in Guilford.
We do want to get it right. And I think what we need to do is have a boundary survey done of that, just so we're absolutely sure what those.
Well, that's $12,000. And
Well-
in speaking with George Crawl, the town planner, he said they don't need a survey. I think the map that we have the map very clearly shows where it is, and you can measure. It says like from Peddler's Roads back, say, 1,400 feet or whatever. We could do that. If we wanted to measure it out with a little wheel, we could do it. So we get, I think we would also make sure we just stay well within the boundary, so we're not, there's no question that we're within the boundary there. We know Peddler's Road is a boundary, and that bounds almost two sides because it kind of curves around.
It curves around to Moose Hill Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that. So we know, let's call it the north and east or west boundary, the south and west, and east side we know because of the property owners. We know that because we already did the survey on that side of it when we looked at that for a dog park. So there's really only one, the south end, that we don't know for sure, but there's a trail there, and we can determine with the Westwoods Committee, is that trail on Westwood's property or is it in Peddler's property? And that's the southernmost boundary. So it's pretty easy to determine what it
I would
is.
suggest you reach out to the Westwoods Trail
Yeah.
or the Land Acquisition Trust. on
Land
that.
trust, yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, we can determine within that
Yeah.
boundary.
Yeah. At what point do we bring it to the Board of Selectmen? I know I think we have to do that. It may not be required in terms
Let
of
them know.
the actual regulatory process.
I can check on
But they're
that.
going to be getting a lot of questions, and good questions, too. And the more we can, answer the questions or dispel any misapprehensions, the easier it's going to be for us as well.
So I would suggest if this commission will approve going forward at Peddler's Park, then I can check, do we need to go to Board of Selectmen next or Wetlands next? But wetlands has to be in there pretty soon at some point too, because they'll want to get on their agenda and walk
Sure,
it.
of course, yeah.
Do we know, moving forward, the expected expense in terms of a line item?
I have some indication that I spoke with my counterpart in Wallingford, the Loughbury Park Disc Golf Course has been there 5 years. Their initial cost was $5,000, and he said they haven't spent a penny since. In 5 years, they haven't touched it, because the volunteers do it. It's just part of the disc golf community. They do it. They take care of it. Wickham Park, where the premier golf course is, disc golf course in Connecticut, up in Manchester. I've been there and I've talked to their director. He said, again, it was designed and built by volunteers, and he said the volunteers maintain it. Occasionally, they might ask for some wood chips, and he'll just bring some wood chips in because they have an area they got to fill in. That's the only thing, any expense that they have. And they chip up the trees in their own park. They chip up themselves, and so there's no cost really. But other than that, and that course has been there, I think 5 or maybe 8 years.
And we already plow in there anyway to keep the trails.
We don't now. That would be something we would have to, if we need it, if we're going to keep it open in winter, we would have to do that. The only thing else is I think we would have to, we probably should move the chain to where the road is now, because you know where it is now. You can go, anybody can park there all night. And I think we can make that better by, well, let's move the chain, gate, whatever we're going to put at the road, and maybe now we have our park rangers swing there, and they just lock that up every night. Yeah, it wouldn't be a big cost, because they're out anyway.
We might want to have a gate like such as, say, Long Hill Park or Nut Plains Park. I mean, solid
Gate rather
gate,
than a
solid,
chain,
yeah, I think
it's
so.
nicer. There was one there, you can see there's
It'll
remnants of an
comfort a
old
lot of
rusted
people
one.
in the neighborhood, I know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we have that open to begin with, that it doesn't get closed off.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah,
open.
'cause it's just a trailhead really right now, that's all it is, and people,
It's not being used as a park.
Yeah.
No, it's just
Yeah.
trail
Yeah.
hikers.
Yeah.
but-
Mhm.
And the land acquisition, the hiking trails also can be accessed from Moose Hill Road, too.
Right, on the other side.
Yeah, they can. Rick, at some point, I think we should, move ahead with it, with all of those contingencies that we have here. But I think we ought to get something from the designer as to what it's going to look like.
Mhm.
And especially, and in addition, what costs has encountered in parks he's designed as well.
yeah, in fact, he's already done it, he sort of laid it out. When I walked to him, he gave me a map, and he showed kind of like, here's hole 1, this is 425 feet, hole 2 is 300, he's already got all that laid out. He's making some changes, and when we walked it, I had suggested if we can try to make it so we only have to cross wetlands one time, because he had it crossing twice. He said, it just, if you can just stay away from the wetlands more, it's better. And so he found a way as we walked it to be able to do that. So he was going to redo that, and it was just on a sheet of paper this size with the layout of the property, and he put arrows and, where so I can, he wanted to go out and start putting ribbons up. And I said, the commission has to approve it first. He's literally chomping at the bit. He's so excited about this. He wants to make it happen. And so I said, I'll call you July 11th. The commission approves that on the 10th. And then, so he can revise that map. I can bring it to the next meeting so you can see what it's going to look like.
Yeah, what I was thinking, not just a map, I know that the consultant that we had used with the dog park made up some kind of a rendering. And that was, not only was it very attractive, it was very persuasive from my point of view.
Yeah.
If there's something like that, or that he would have.
I can find out. I mean, he's not a designer per se like that, like she was. He's a disc golfer who's played a lot and knows what they should look like. And he has his background is conservation commission stuff. I mean, his business that he works for, they do surveys and they do wetlands, and so I thought, well, he's a great guy involved in this because he knows the sensitivity of those areas, and he's played a lot. He's a professional disc golfer, and he's got 2 other guys working with him to help him with the design of it that are also professional disc golfers. So I can ask him that. So layout and maybe a nice rendering of what it might look like. Okay.
Well, I think
do
we-
go Go ahead, Judy.
No, I'm just saying, all this discussion, we have to accept that it's gonna be at Peddlers, so that then he can go with
Well, I
the
think that's
different
the
people.
assumption.
So I don't know how much discussion we need now on the little things, but just accept that it's gonna be at, I'd like to make a motion that we plan on it being at Peddlers Park and we move forward. And so then you can go out and ask the questions and get wetlands and
Right.
everything else, because that's gonna take a few months, or I don't know how long it takes to get on everybody's list when they have their meetings to go up. So I think a lot of it, the questions are gonna be asked again. Let's just accept it make a motion that it be at Peddlers Park, the beginning of the planning. And that's where it's gonna be if it goes through.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I should just add, Anthony Barber also, he's ready to start approaching businesses for fundraising. Again, I said, we have to wait till the commission approves the park, and then we can start letting these guys who are just, want to run out of the gate, okay, go, start doing it. And our Tony already made a list of 21 possible businesses to contact. And I spoke with one today who said they
For
definitely are in.
For
For
donations?
donations.
For donations, yeah. Yeah, he started making a list, and we'll give that to Anthony Barber, who, he's a businessman in town. He wants to do the fundraising.
Oh,
and-
Tony Barber, I thought you
Yeah.
meant Tony.
Our Tony Inicelli's made a list of 21 businesses
okay.
that he thought people we could approach.
And I think there's enough interest that the money can be raised.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a dog park. They raised money. This is
yeah.
something,
And it's a lot less we're looking. The dog park was,
I think it's a
$41,000.
good use of space that
Yes.
needs to have something used on it.
Yes.
And I think that, I think it'll expand our programming, and I think for a wider audience. So I think it's fantastic.
I
So,
think you also, it may not drive revenue per se immediately. There might be instances where we can figure out how to monetize
Tournaments or
the
something.
tournaments. But
Yeah.
if you have people coming in and out of the town to play for the day, our businesses may or may not, reap some
Ripple
benefits.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, so.
I think some can, for example, let's say, for example, if Perk on Church was a sponsor, maybe at their hall, they, on their sign says, 3.1 miles from here, come, bring your disc, we'll give you a free coffee, and while they're there, they're gonna buy something else. So it could benefit businesses too, or Bishop's is right down the road.
The QR codes on each,
Yeah.
on each hole
Mhm.
for whatever
Yeah.
businesses.
yeah, QR
can be a
codes, what it
collaborative.
can have, coupon.
And we'll have to have a Parks and Rec Commission disc golf tournament.
yeah.
We're there.
I think it's great. I think it's such a
And
great
as you
use.
said, it's gonna meet all levels.
Yeah.
Right.
Including families,
Yeah.
seniors, and on up. As long as we can walk. Well,
I think it's one of those
including
things, you
myself.
introduce it to people that never even heard of it, and you've got a whole new group of people that have a new activity, so.
Look how well the tournament went at the golf course.
Right.
And you just have
It
to
is
have another
cutting
little
edge.
opening ceremony tournament.
Mhm.
There's your monetary.
What about the parking? You still planning on maintaining that same parking? More.
So my suggestion would be if you go down the road a little bit, just a little, to the right, I think it's where the parking used to be when that was a park. It was a park over 30 years ago. I believe that's where it was, because there's like a level sort of plateau, it would take a little just to clear it out, maybe bring some stone in. All that's things we would have to show on the plan for planning and zoning for them to approve that. And probably a kiosk, of some sort too. I think that makes the most sense, if not where the parking is now, it could continue in there a little bit, but it'd be a lot of trees would have to come down, and I think it makes more sense just to go down a little bit down that road where there was parking before, and just recreate it. I'm sorry?
Keep both lots at that point? Keep the existing lot and the additional lot?
I think I think when,
Right, well, that's what I was thinking, right? If you're gonna get a mix.
when we move it down a little bit, so that beyond the parking, people couldn't drive it down below that. Maybe we move that chain down a little bit to where that is, have a gate at the entrance, so nobody can get in there at all at dark, which right now they can.
Right.
People will be there all night long if they want to. We can block that off.
Open property that's not being used. I mean, it's ripe for people just using it for not good purposes. So,
Right.
I think this solves that issue, so.
And the disc golfers, again, from all the ones, the guys I've talked to, they're very respectful environment. There's never, I shouldn't say never, but can't ever say that, but can't ever say never. But they're good about not leaving litter behind, paper cups or whatever, wrappers, they're very,
They work, they have a mission.
yeah, they're conscientious about it. They're guys, people like to be in the woods.
Yeah.
And while they're in the woods, they're throwing a disc.
Well, it's a low-impact running, too.
Yeah.
In addition to everything else.
Mhm.
It's been
You should really
underutilized.
talk to the neighbors about this too.
Once it gets in the paper, they'll see
Because
it and they'll come to us.
I
But do
don't
we
think
have-
you can leave it to them finding out about it in the newspaper.
Does
As a
this
gesture of goodwill, it would be better, as when we had such big pushback on the
Dog.
dog park. I think you'll get pushback again.
Probably.
It would be, I think, a gesture of goodwill and build a good bridge if somebody actually went and said, this is what we think.
Well,
of doing.
I think when there's planning and zoning, don't they notify all the neighbors too? If
And
there's
they
a
can go to,
If
they
there's a
don't?
public
Not
hearing?
always.
But that, you should go and talk to them. Don't
Yeah.
expect them to find it out for themselves. I think it would create goodwill between them and the project.
I think I still have the contacts of some of the folks that came here before.
I mean,
So-
even if you just called one neighbor and said, this is what we're doing, and let them spread
Yeah.
the word among the neighborhood.
But isn't there a computer program in town whereby we can get the mailing labels for residential addresses?
The town has
I
that.
think you can get it from the tax assessor's office.
Town has
One of those
Somewhere, I
places.
believe somewhere in town, where they could,
But I think if you made a personal visit or a phone call and just said,
yeah,
you know, we
that's a
kind
very
of
good
like to,
suggestion.
just as a gesture of goodwill, we'd like to let you know we're doing
I
this.
think I still have a couple of contacts. I could do that. If the
And
commission
we
wants me
might-
to do that, I could do that.
You know, stave off some pushback.
Yeah.
Good?
Yes, Kath, yeah, you're right. 8D, roof replacement.
Bid openings were last Friday, and the architect is checking references today and tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we have to go to the standing building committee for them to approve the recommendation of the architect. And then I think the next Board of Selectmen meeting is, I think it's next Monday. So the idea would to get on that agenda for the Board of Selectmen to award the bid. And the bids were all over the place. I mean, from the lowest to the highest was about a $300,000 difference. Yeah, it was amazing.
You'll have the same thing to work from, right?
Yeah, and we had 9 contractors showed up when we had the pre-bid meeting here, and 4 bid on it. So, and no local, there's nobody from Guilford that bid on it, but there were, from a lot of different areas. But anyway, it's the architect's responsibility to check references, make a recommendation, and then go to the building committee tomorrow night, which I told them I can't be there tomorrow, and I have another meeting, but they have all the information anyway, and they'll present it.
Don't forget to mention for the record how the Historic District Commission helped you out.
Yes, Historic District Commission didn't need to approve. Well, they did. They were okay with the design, of what was, it was the same shingles, same look. So there's no need to have any special approval by that commission.
Great.
Okay. Here's what they said. After review of the above-mentioned project, Historic District Commission's understanding that the project will consist of 2 phases. Phase 2 being completed at a later date. Phase 1, re-roof the existing pitched roofs with a slate asphalt shingle to match existing. Replace flashing in or edging in kind. New gutter with downspouts will be added to match existing gutters. There are a couple of downspouts are going to be added, and basically they approved that. Phase 2, we're probably not going to do. I don't think we have the money for it. That's the flat roof here, and some contractors who have looked at it said if at least you can patch it, you could probably get at least 5 more years out of it anyway. So it's not like we need to do it now. That we put that in as an alternate. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to afford it unless we go with the lowest bidder. We might be able to, but it did add a lot to the project. And the architects and contractors have looked at it, and Steve Neidorf, our facilities manager, thought that it hasn't been a problem. We haven't had any leaks on there at all. It's in pretty good shape. If you did get a leak, you can easily patch it with like a tar thing and, get 5 years more. So it's not something we have to do right now. So that's the roof replacement. It's moving, and the goal is to get it done before we get into the fall. Before fall, I hope.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
8E, Lake Quantapug, excuse me, Lake Quantapug improvements.
We got the permit last week. Kevin McGee got it from DEP, so the contractor is aware of that, and they should be ready to go. They just have to put an ad, a notice in the paper that they're going to be doing it, and the dates they're going to do it, and they have to notify the people around the lake and put signs up in public areas like the beach, the boat launch, and probably the south end of the lake where the dam is. They just got to put signs up letting people know that when they're going to put it in and when. So that's their responsibility, but they're aware of that, and we just got notified last Wednesday that we got the permit.
8F, skate park.
It's almost done. I have pictures to show you.
Thank you.
Pickleball, skate park, and basketball.
Basketball hoops.
Just I'll pass these around. It's kind of interesting. I've been taking pictures. This is all today.
Wow.
Today they had 30 concrete trucks up there, not all at once, but going back and forth. 300 cubic yards of concrete were put down, and this thing looks like some kind of ride at an amusement park.
It does.
It's a giant
It does, yeah.
boom, a pump, where it pumped from the truck, they pumped to this other truck, that pumped it out, came out of a hose. The guys are just, with a 6-inch diameter hose, spreading the concrete. And there's a picture, it's hard to tell, but one of them, it's a machine that looks like one of those hovercrafts on the Everglades. The guy was, yeah, that's it. He's floating over the top, and he was spinning around, I think, like a carnival ride. He's spinning around this thing, and he's smoothing it all out, and puts a nice smooth finish on it. It's amazing the equipment they had up there. I think there must have been at least 15 guys working up there today. And then, so the pickleball court part is going to have a light broom finish, so it's not perfectly smooth. We didn't want it to be slippery for
So that people
pickleball and
would
or
slip,
basketball.
yeah.
The skate park side, though, is going to be very, like a garage smooth finish. We wanted that smooth for the skateboarders, so that if they fall, they're going to get a little scraped up anyway, but less than if it's a rough finish. Any of you guys skateboard at all?
I've used the skate park before.
Brand new. It's going to be brand new concrete finish, and hopefully it'll be open in about 3 weeks.
And I just have to preface that we're gonna get 2 new pickleball courts.
Yeah.
And that is a growing sport.
Yeah.
So disc golf is less expensive than pickleball courts, which we've really almost outgrown Adams, and we've got 4 courts there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just had to say, eventually we need more pickleball courts,
Why
but
don't you say it?
probably, eventually we'll need more pickleball courts, but they're more expensive than.
I think I would
Just to
like.
read between the lines, just say it.
I think should consider when we have in our 5-year capital plan ripping out the Adams tennis courts
Right.
and doing this same process up there with post-tension concrete. It has a 20-year warranty, and they say it should last 30 to 50 years. It's the same thing that they build bridges out of, and so very long lifespan with, I'd like to say, zero maintenance for 20 years anyway. And cracks, maybe little hairline cracks, but nothing that, like a crack you might see in your garage, or concrete sidewalk, a little one, but not anything that goes through. And those cables that are in there, they tighten those up after 3 days, they tighten them up, and then a week later, they tighten them some more. And the cable is like rebar, you put rebar crisscross on a sidewalk, well, that's kind of what the cable does, and that's what causes the post-tension concrete. They tension those cables twice during the time it's curing. And
Sounds like a psychological diagnosis.
post-traumatic something. Oh, leave it to you, Jack. Very interesting process, but all this has been done they got all the cables done Sunday, and today the concrete's done in a day, really. So it's amazing how fast, once they did all the leveling, and they have a grader on there too that has, it's a laser grader, so they're perfectly grading that thing. It's got a just under 1% pitch, so it's pitching one way, and the town engineer wanted to put a curtain drain in, so they did. They tied it into the existing drains that were there for the old skate park, and it's going to be beautiful. So we'll have a grand reopening. I'm trying to get a contractor to repaint the skate, the ramps. They need to be painted. We have to paint. We just got to get somebody to paint it. And I got one quote already, which was very high. I'm trying to get one more quote. Any Boy Scouts want to paint skate park equipment? It could be a great project. And
consult the pickleball guru on the color of the lines. So.
yeah, we can talk to you about that. We aren't going to paint the surface again because he wanted another $15,000 to do that. And I said, I just got approval of $164,000 from the Board of Selectmen. I can't go back now and ask for 15. So the lines are part of it. So it's going to be just concrete with lines, not going to be painted. You know, if we want in the future to do that, we can. But
The lines are more important than.
and that's why we're having the broom finish. The paint gives that texturized surface, so it's not slippery. But the broom finish will do the same thing, so it won't be slippery like if it was a smooth finish like on the skate park side. And it's going to be we're having 2 basketball hoops put in too. So the pickleball goes north-south, basketball goes across it. So it'll be a basketball court also, which we never had up there. So it's another multi-use facility.
Yeah, great. Not to have basketball and pickleball playing at the same time.
No, you can't do that. No.
Well, you could.
You could.
Thanks, Vic and Judy. 8G, Wi-Fi Community Center. Rick and Mark worked very hard on this one.
Do you want to pick that up, Mark?
Yeah, sure. So Rick shared a document that Tony Sancarangelo was looking at. So it's it's sort of an area of expertise, so it's kind of tied to what I do for my living. So it's a 48-port switch that's going to allow the Wi-Fi to be tied. The actual access points that are throughout will be tied back into this switch that'll allow central management of all those access points. And it's by the looks of the details that were in the emails. It's a state-of-the-art product. It's a great price, frankly, and I compared it against something that my company builds and markets as well. So it's in the firm that you're getting the quotes from is also a company that I use constantly. So I'm totally acceptable to me based on my history with this particular company.
Is this tied in with the town project? Or is this separate?
It would be tied in, so
Okay.
I think there's some cost savings, but it'll be done around the same time if we approve it tonight, because I think doing it in a couple of weeks, I think they're doing town hall. Just a side note, just a small indication of the need for it. One of our senior citizens, I just had me going down to get a coffee down the hall there one day about 2 weeks ago, and he was trying to use his cell phone to text somebody or maybe his email or whatever. He couldn't get on. And he asked me, Rick, can we do something about improving Wi-Fi in this building? I said, actually, we're in the process of working on that. So we know it's a heavily used building. I think the need is greater here than probably any other building in town. And I think we should move forward. And there is additional cost of the switch that Tony talked with you about, I think, right? It's just a little under $12,000. I don't have the bottom line number with me. I forgot to bring it. But whatever I gave you guys the proposal, or I sent it. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but it was $8,300 maybe for the actual Wi-Fi, I think.
Yeah.
And then Tony's going to do the wiring himself, but the switch that he needs to do that, it was some additional money. So it's under $12,000.
We need it.
Yeah.
My husband will be so happy. The amount of data I eat here every day.
For the community that uses the center, right? I mean, for those of us who have, which is probably nearly everyone that comes in with cell phones or iPads, right? While kids are downstairs, while you're waiting, it allows you to use our Wi-Fi, connect to the guest network, and then not be burning your personal Wi-Fi data services. So it's, you know, it's a nice cost, it's a benefit.
Thank you.
Do we need to make a motion to approve going through?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Carried unanimously.
I'll let Tony know, and he can make the arrangements with the company to just get on it as soon as
Yeah.
they can. Or whenever to do it at town hall.
Yeah, do the cost share, because
Yeah.
that's always been something that we've been
Mhm.
trying to do with all sorts of things in town.
Agenda item 9, new business. D, Performing Arts Festival.
Just
I
to
have-
let
I have
you-
no idea what that is.
Yeah, I'll let you know that William Boughton, who was the conductor for the New Haven Symphony Orchestra, he started meeting with a committee probably a little over a year ago. I was in the initial phase of those meetings. Now they have a subcommittee that's scheduling everything. But it's going to be, it's a performing arts festival. It's mostly music, but music and dance, and I think some maybe poetry reading or some multimedia stuff. And I believe they have almost 50 performers. It's October 12th through 15th. It's a Thursday through Sunday, and it's in a lot of different venues in town. I think some of the churches, the library, several of the events are going to be here. I had Bonnie block off the Guilford Room and the Minnetonka Room for all those dates, and so we know, just to hold it. But it's going to be a great thing for the community. I think right now he's thinking of doing it every 2 years. It's a lot of work. The committee's putting a lot of effort into getting all the different performers. And, yeah, I went to their meeting last week, and they said they have just under 50 entertainers right now, between dance and musicians. A lot of them are Guilford musicians and performers, some are not, but the whole thing is to bring arts to Guilford and let people share this beautiful town that we have. And so I think the high school, some things up at the high school also, in the new auditorium up there. But we have 4 or 5 here, I think on Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. And I don't remember all a couple dance performances here, which might actually be in the exercise room. They may not be downstairs. I think there's a workshop. The town band, which is actually the community band that just performed on the green, they're going to be doing something, a workshop with people who might want to try an instrument. And that'll be here, and then they'll do a concert later on in the day. So it's exciting. I'll have more details as we go on, but I do know they specifically asked for 5 times here, 5 events in the building so far.
Great, sounds fun.
Got 10 minutes.
Okay.
We'll try. 9E, policy on sports camps using fields.
So the field committee, I brought up to them a concern I had this year that there have been a lot of, I don't want to call them renegade, but sports camps we didn't even know about. And it used to be that we ran all the sports camps. And then each sport started kind of doing some of their own, like youth soccer, even though we run a soccer camp, they started doing some clinics.
Was this, excuse me, but did the Renegade group do one at Calvin Lee the first thing in the summer?
We knew about that one.
Oh, you did?
We knew about
Okay.
that. They scheduled it with us.
Okay.
I shouldn't use the word renegade, but it's just,
But it's
some of them we didn't
annoying.
know about. And so there are some that are just starting to happen. We're not even aware of them. And we found out because our guys were going to do something on the field. There were a bunch of kids out there. Who are these guys? And we didn't know. And so the ones we know about pay, because the fee and the policy for use of fields that the field committee proposed, and some of the members of this commission, I don't know if anybody's still on it now, but Suzanne, you were on it, yeah. And John Jagelski was on it, yeah. So we came up with a policy for use of fields, and there was a fee structure for outside of regular sports seasons. So if Little League, for example, ran a clinic outside of the Little League season, they had to pay to use the field for that. It was based on number of hours and amount of use and so on. And so, anyway, we discovered there were some out there that we didn't know about. And so the field committee just developed this, this one-line policy recommending to our commission that the sponsor or individual operating a youth or sports camp not providing our department with registration and proper documentation for insurance and so on, that camp be banned for further use for that season and the following calendar year. And they thought that there should be a fine of $500. I think that's a stiff fine, but I think their thought was that this should help prevent anybody trying to get around the system and just going out and decide, hey, we're going to go run a sports camp on, Adams Little League fields and not anybody know about it. I'm not picking on Little League, I'm just use that as an example.
So you met with the State Fields Commission, you discussed it, and then they asked you to bring this motion back to us.
Right.
So is that your recommendation to the commission?
It is.
Okay.
And I'm meeting with the fall sports groups this Thursday. I don't think there are any camps happening in the fall, they're mostly in the summer, I think. So I'm not sure it's going to really affect any of those groups, but, yeah.
What did you do with the ones that this year you found?
The money goes into, we have a fund for future, a lot of it goes to the future replacement of synthetic turf. A lot of money-
I'm talking about the kind of rogue camps that started. What did you do when you found out their presence?
One of them, when we found out, we told them they had to pay, and they did.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one said, oh, we didn't know, and I said, well, now you know, And so I want to emphasize, though, because I even asked women, he's saying, so if it's Little League is sponsoring, it doesn't mean Little League is banned from having the fields next year. It's if they want to run again, I'm not picking on Little League, just an example.
Camp.
If they want to run a camp next year, they can't do that camp because they didn't follow the procedure. Or lacrosse, or field hockey, or soccer, anybody.
Well, as long as every organization that you can think of is duly notified about that.
Right.
And are aware of it, and then they.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So what I would do is, if this becomes policy, we'll tie this into the field use policy we have. We'll send that out to all the presidents of all the sports groups, saying, going forward, we're not going to find anybody this year, because it's not in effect, but going forward, this is what it is. Because there are the ones who are doing it the right way, and they are paying. And there's some that are not. And again, I don't think they were doing it maliciously, I think they just didn't know. They just figured, hey, the field's here, let's go use it.
So is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
And the last one, Rick, is beach hours. That's just an informational matter? I know
Informational
we're running out of
because-
time here.
Yeah, so this could be really quick. Informational, because we actually got a phone call, went to the selectman's office, and they had the person call me. The issue is that our beach hours at Lake Quanapog are 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Sundays, it's 11 to 7:30. And Jacobs Beach is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 11 to 5 Sunday. This particular individual goes to Jacobs Beach, and he was concerned that we are potentially, people are getting in before we open, especially on a Sunday, because the gate's not locked. I mean, our park ranger opens it early in the morning, and that, people are getting in before we have guards there, and they're staying after guards. I mean, you can't lock Jacobs Beach back up. It's a park. The guards leave at 5. There are people that are still there. And that's more acceptable, I'd say, than Quanapog. I have a bigger problem when the gate is locked. People are walking around the gate and going in, and that lake is very dangerous. There's an underwater ledge that, when you drop off that ledge, is 20 feet deep. If you can't swim and you're splashing around, suddenly you take a step, you're going down. And lifeguards know where that is, and it's imperative that people do not go in that lake when the gate is locked. And it's very clearly stated, when no lifeguard on duty, beach is closed. Nobody should be out there. I've asked the assistant police chief, I just spoke to him last week, they can, when they have their police officer who's up in the north end of the town, and sees people on the lake after 7:30, can they go out and tell them, this is closed, you got to get off the beach. It's dangerous. We can't do that at Jacobs. You just can't do it. It's impossible to block that off. What's that? Well, yeah, right. There's no way. But anyway, I think the individual who made the call was concerned that people are getting in and they're not paying. I said, well, I guess I could change it where I could have the lifeguards open it up when they get there at 11 o'clock, and he said, well, don't do that, because I come at 8. He does have a pass, though, he said. I don't think there's any way around it, there's no, but I just want to let you know about it, if you want us to change something. You know, he asked, well, can't you have a gate guard, lifeguards come in early? I said, well, we're not budgeted to have guards there. And if we open it at 9, someone's going to come at 8. If we open at 8, they're going to come at 7. You know, there's nothing we can do to, there's not.
The only thing that I've thought about in the past was going to, like many of the other towns, they have the stickers on the cars. So when your lifeguards get there, they could walk through the parking lot, and who doesn't have one? You put a ticket on their car or whatever, or write their license plate down. They get a fine from the town.
But if they're doing that, it's taking them away from being on
Right.
the beach, or even the gate guard, now he's doing that, he's not there collecting money from people coming in.
So let's stick with the current policy.
Yeah, I just want to bring it up so you're aware of it, if you hear about it.
Deal with it.
I don't think there's anything we can really do differently. I mean, we do collect a lot of money from, we sell a lot of beach passes, and, yeah, and, I mean, we do well. I think we're probably, this year, we're probably going to be under budget. I don't think we're going to make the budget this year, because we had a rainy spring. And people aren't thinking of beach and buying beach passes when it's raining out. Same thing happens in the winter when we have our ski trips. People will start registering in October, November, when it's nice out. You know, suddenly when it starts to snow, oh, can we sign up for the ski trip? So, anyway, I just want to let you know about it, that's all.
You adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Unless it, okay.
Second?
Meeting's adjourned. August 7th is the next meeting.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Absolutely.